Hi everybody, we're moving on to our next unit, which is over the integumentary system, chapter 5. You should already have your interactive notebook pages. We will be starting with interactive notebook page that looks like this. Introduction to the integumentary system. PowerPoint's going to go right along with it, hopefully. So let's get to it. So the first PowerPoint slide is the integumentary system. What is the integumentary system? Integumentary system is talking about the skin and the appendages such as hair, nails, and sebaceous glands and sweat glands. The word integument means to covering. Okay? So integumentary system thus is the covering system, the outer layer of our body. It is the protective covering of our body. The integumentary system, our skin reaches 3,000 square inches of surface. It's the largest organ that we have on our body. Okay, so moving right along, what are the functions of the skin? I want you to stop here. You're going to push pause on the video, and you're going to get in your table groups, and I want you guys to think. Okay, scratch that. We're not stopping the video. Moving right along. Functions of the skin. As I said earlier, the skin integument means covering. So, obviously, the function of the skin is to cover the body, regulate body temperature, manufacture vitamin D, nerve receptors. It houses those. And then we also have storage of fat and glucose water, screen out radiation, and absorption of properties. Okay, so let's go back to this slide here. Covering of the skin, that's pretty self-explanatory there as far as why or how the skin does that. Obviously, if we get a cut, we have an open wound, and therefore we treat it with antibiotics and cover the bandage so that bacteria and other foreign objects can't get in our body. So basically that is what the skin does as the covering per se. It prevents bacteria and other foreign objects or matter from entering our body. Now, as far as regulating of body temperature goes, if you've had me before, we've talked about this, the dilation and of blood vessels. So, for instance, remember whenever you go outside and it's extremely cold and you look at your blood vessels, they do something. They vasoconstrict, or they get smaller, constrict, like a boa constrictor. Remember that boa constrictor like wraps its prey around? So your blood vessels get really, really small on your skin, and that helps to keep you warm. On the flip side of that, if you're outside running and it's hot, you look at the veins in your hands, they get really, really big. And that helps to cool your body down. Okay? Vitamin D. So your skin manufactures vitamin D. The ultraviolet light on the skin is necessary for the first stages of that formation to happen. So the skin does that. Skin is a site for nerve endings. Obviously, we should know that. Our skin is very receptive. If you barely lightly run your hand across or a fingertip across the forearm, you can very much feel that. Okay? Move on. Temporary storage of fat, glucose, water, and salts, sodium chloride. Most of these substances are absorbed by the blood and transported to other parts of the body. Let's see here. The screening of ultraviolet light. So our skin helps to reduce the harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun. And then skin also has other special properties. It absorbs drugs. So there's, topical medications you can put on your skin so it absorbs things that go into your bloodstream. Patches, all that kind of stuff. All right, so moving on. Those are all the functions. So we have seven functions. The covering, regulation of body temperature, manufacturing of vitamin D, nerve impulses, or nerve endings, temporary storage, reducing of radiation from the sunlight, and then absorption properties, where it absorbs substances. Okay. Moving on. Structures of the skin. Structures of the skin. The epidermis is the outermost layer of the skin. It covers, it's made up of epithelial cells. There are no blood vessels present in this layer of skin. So again, outermost layer, avascular means that there are no blood vessels present. That's what that term means. Okay. The second layer of skin that we're going to focus on is the dermis, and it is known as the true layer of skin, and it's made up of connective tissues, and it is vascular, so therefore that means that it does have blood vessels within it. Okay, so if you have ever scraped your arm or your knee and you just barely grazed it and it's not bled, you've only torn this epidermis. Now, whenever you get to where you are bleeding, you're down in the dermis layers. Okay. Here is a picture of what, a depictive picture of what skin layers would look like. I wanted to pop back over here. You should be on your interactive notebook page, the skin one. We've talked about the two layers of skin. That would be the epidermis and the dermis, and where they're both found. The epidermis is the outer covering. The dermis is the second layer, or true skin, as they would call it. Characteristics of the epidermis, we've already talked about that. Remember, epidermis is avascular. Dermis would be vascular, and we have not talked about keratin yet, so we will come back to this sheet. Let's go back to our PowerPoint, though. Okay. You can actually, sorry, I'm jumping around here, guys. Move on to this sheet right here, structure of the skin. We're going to start talking about this now with the PowerPoint. Okay. I got to blow this up because I can't see it. Alright, so this is a cross section of the skin. Okay. And let's just start with, we're going to start with the top left here. The stratum, the deepest layer of the epidermis, which is this pink layer here, undergoes continuous cell division. It's the deepest epidermal layer. It consists of a layer of cells that are mostly keratinites. They grow upward and become the part of the more superficial layer of the epidermis as it goes. So this is where we see the shedding of our skin. Okay, so it starts here and then it works its way up to the outer layers. Okay. Let's see. What do we have next? Here we go. I'm going to butcher these names. I'm just telling you. So the papilia, okay, is actually, it arises from the dermal layer of the skin and pushes into the stratum there of the epidermis. The skin of the fingers, soles of the feet, and the palms of the hands are the papillae are quite pronounced. That's what, basically creates the ridges in our fingers and our hands, okay? Our footprints and our feet prints, basically, okay? So that's what that one is. The stratum spinosum. Again, I'm probably pronouncing these incorrectly. I apologize. It's about 8 to 10 cell layers thick. It contains the melanocytes and keratinocytes. When you see them under the microscope, the cells are layered looking and prickly. They also, this spinosum means spine, little spine, okay? Alright, so the next one we're going to talk about is strontium corneum. It's composed of those dead, flat, scale-like keratinized cells that come off daily. Complete cell turnover occurs about every 28 to 30 days in young adults, while the same process takes about 40 to 50 days in older adults. This layer is slightly acidic, which helps in the defense against microorganisms invading our body. Okay, so that is purely the layers of the epidermis. There's 4 that you need to know of. The bottom one is this one, the deepest, most layer. Then we have this layer, and then the strontium corneum. Okay. All right, so let's move on to, let me see. All right, so for our sheet here, we've talked about layer A, which is the epidermis, okay? The next thing we're going to talk about is layer B here, which would be our dermis layer. So let me go back to our PowerPoint slide. And pull it back up. Alright, so the dermis is thicker, inner layer of the skin, as we've talked about. It's composed of that dense connective tissue. This is where collagen, elastic fibers are, muscle fibers, our white blood cells, oil, fat glands, all that stuff is located in here, okay? The dermal layer, contains our nerve receptors. There's several different types of nerve receptors that make us sensitive to heat, cold, pain, pressure, all those sorts of feelings. Let's see. The thickness of the dermis, I found this interesting. It varies over different parts of the body. For instance, it's thicker over the soles of your feet and the palms of your hands. The skin covering, the shoulder and the back is thinner than that of your palms. But the skin over your abdomen and thorax is thicker. So, again, various parts of your body, your dermis is thicker. And why would you think that? Well, think about your hands, how much you do with your hands. I think that would be one of the number one reasons why. So again, in your picture, I think it was B, was the dermis layer. Okay. Let me flip back to that other page really quickly. Oops. Make sure we get everything from the interactive notebook here. C is the subcutaneous layer. Let's see. The subcutaneous layer, the hypodermal layer, is not a true part of the integumentary system. It lies under the dermis. It's sometimes called the superficial fascia. It consists of loose connective tissue. It contains about half of the body's stored fat. Okay, so that's that part. Let's see, number 1 is pointing towards, what is that pointing towards? I gotta blow it up again. Okay guys, I'm going to have to stop the video here. My time's about to run out. We'll pick up with 1 through 6 on video 2.